Thanks for checking out my video. If you want to learn more from me, I have a lot of classes on Udemy. You can find the links to a lot of those in the description.
Hey guys, so this is a New Year's Eve video, even if you're finding it on New Year's Day, but we are transitioning from the year of the wood dragon to the year of the wood snake. So you might actually hear that, it was the year of the dragon, and now it's going to be the year of the snake, but years that end with 4 or 5 are also associated with the wood element. And so we are transitioning from the year of the wood dragon to the year of the wood snake. So doing a little bit of research and stuff on the wood element itself, we're associating it with trees, of course. And what do trees do? They grow from under the ground toward the sky. So the element of growth and reaching upwards is something that's carrying over from 2024 to 2025. Now, the difference between the dragon and the snake is a little bit mutable and whatnot. But now, of course, dragons, you might even think of them as big, big snakes. In a lot of creation myths and different things like that, you find that dragons and snakes or dragons and serpents are kind of interchangeable, but there is a little bit of a difference in breakdown here because dragons, of course, they can be associated with water and also flight, so they are associated with both water and air, which is emotions and intellectualism and things like that. Now, so think of everything that has happened over this past year, and also the dragon for at least 2024 is associated with Aries. So we're talking passion, drive, the fire element, you know, different stuff like that. But when it comes to moving into 2025 with the snake, there's a lot of different connotations that we can talk about. So there's tons of snakes in myths and creation stories and different things like that. If you guys have ever watched one of my videos where I actually bring out my Yadaki, which you might call a didgeridoo, I do have the rainbow snake on it. The rainbow snake is the mythological being from Aboriginal lore that helped to fashion and create the earth. And the rainbow snake is sometimes considered male, sometimes considered female, but it's a massive serpent that actually leapt across the land, creating puddles of water and various topographical features and whatnot, and thus assisted in creating the earth. You go to the Mesopotamian myths, you have the giant serpent Tiamat that was cleaved in two and thus created the heavens and or the firmament and the earth. And Tiamat was the mother of all the gods that were below her. So very creative there. You go to the spiritual traditions in South America, particularly, at least what I could speak to um, with authority and knowledge, is the Machakwi and the Amaru. And the Machakwi is the snake that is associated, particularly in the Paco tradition that I'm a lineage keeper of. The Machakwi is associated with the lowest Naui in our system, and Nauis can be compared to chakras, although they're not entirely chakras and they're not the same as chakras. Nauis are energetic eyes that intake and push out information. They're not spinning wheels of energy. So if you hear anyone that says that chumpies are associated with chakras, they're wrong. And if you hear someone say that chakras and Nauis are completely the same, they are also wrong. But so, as we're stepping into 2025, I want you to think about a snake. I want you to think about being like a snake. So, what do snakes do? They shed. So, what kinds of things do you have from this past year, from 2024, that you're going to take with you on your journey as you continue to go, as you continue to move, as you continue to move nice and grounded with the earth? What kinds of things from 2024 and even prior to that are you going to shed? What kinds of things are you going to get rid of? What kinds of things are you going to say, this is not for me, I don't need this anymore? And then going further along with the snake, remember, snakes, they're very intuitive. They can tell when things are going to happen, like earthquakes and whatnot. So learn to trust your guts and learn to trust your intuition when it comes to to finding difficulties and problems and dealing with them. Don't be so up here in your logical, mental whatnot. Although there is a balance between your intuitive and your logical slash mental stuff, but learn to trust that inner voice more. Learn to trust that inner gut more. So we're talking meditation on a regular basis so you can learn to hear and feel that inner gut knowing. Learn how to navigate balancing the feelings that you get and understanding them with your thoughts and then deciding where to go. And then, let's take another tangent. Let's also talk about the benefits of snakes, what snakes can do. So in the Gnostic traditions, at least one of the stories of Gnosticism is that the demiurge or a false lower god creates this earth, creates this reality, and with that you have sparks of divine light that are trapped in this reality, and that is us, right? And you look at the Adam and Eve story through a Gnostic point of view. Sophia, the divine wisdom, decides to become the tree of knowledge, it as a way of thwarting and undermining the demiurge's crappy prison that he created. And then she also becomes the snake. And she's the one that tells Eve to eat from the tree, who then tells Adam to eat from the tree. And this foils the demiurge's plan of keeping his creation in a nice little zoo, in a nice little trap. And by eating from the fruit, or the fruit of Sophia, the fruit of the goddess, their eyes are open to this reality that they're stuck in, which means they're enlightened to the fact that everything around them is a trap. It's trying to keep them in check, trying to keep them under control. And then once they see that, it's like the Truman Show, right? That this entire world is built as kind of a prison in a way, then they are banished. And it's like, all right, you don't like the little zoo I made for you, go and make it on your own in this zoo prison Truman Show I've made. It's demonstrating enlightenment, right? Because another snake thing, they were shown the way to shed this view, and it makes me think of Agent Smith from The Matrix. I hate this place, this prison. And so snakes can also be seen as wisdom keepers and trusting in what they have to say, and thus trusting our more reptilian brain, our animalistic instincts, those kinds of things. They can actually lead us to enlightenment. A lot of times when you hear like the reptilian brain and whatnot, you're thinking a lower order kind of thing. But one of the things that my teachers have always taught me, and I'll probably go into this this story in a little bit more depth in another video, but when I was going through one of the carpis, the transmission of energies for the for working with the chumpies, there was a moment where I felt the energy of the carpi actually kind of wane. And when I explained that afterwards, they said, this is what we've been trying to teach people for a really long time. You don't always use your higher order mind to see through things. You filter things through that, but trust your inner knowing and your gut first. And this is one of the things that the snake and the year of the snake hopefully will bring out and teach you. Given the fact that it is also about wood, because it's the wood snake, we're talking about, I gotta pull up some notes here. Well, wood is structure, it's growth, it is structure and growth. Yeah, I'm not gonna add a third one there. But what we want to do is take what we can with us, get rid of the stuff that we no longer like, and the things that we refuse to keep, anything that you've gone through, and an old version of yourself that needs to just be shed and left behind. And then we can also talk about, you know, snakes, they go hunting, right? They need to find their prey. They can go in bushes. They can even go in the water. They can move around in a way where other um, beings or other creatures can't see them until it's too late or something like that. So they can go in places that are hidden, right? So as part of the year of the snake, start thinking about things that are unspoken, unfinished, things that are hidden, stuff that you need to bring out. When we shed the old stuff, we have fresh new skin underneath. So I ask you, what is hidden under this skin that you have, whether it's an idea, an identity, an ideology, something like that? What is hidden under that that needs to come out? Because when we have, ideas, identities, other things like that, they get old, and that's when we need to shed them. Some people refuse to shed them, and I know that if a snake is not able to shed its skin as it's growing, right, then the snake can actually die. So you either do the thing or get off the pot. Get out of the kitchen if you can't take the heat. If you're not growing, what are you doing? The only time we stop growing is when we die, right? So some people, they only age physically, but they don't age emotionally, spiritually, mentally, all that stuff. This is your challenge to do so. And one of the other things that I did want to bring up is this year's going to be a trial by fire. It's testing you, pushing you to pause and rethink your strategies. And let's see. Biggest thing that I've learned in my research here is, I love that phrase, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right? So what we want to focus on is progress might be slow the first half of the year with kind of figuring out where you're going, but of course you can jump ahead of this if you journal and you think and you meditate and you do, and connect with nature and do prayers on it and different things like that. But see how stuff moves for you. Snakes can move slow, they can move fast when they're going after something. And jumping tangents a little bit. Also, along with serpents, we have the Nagas. And the Nagas are seen as nature protective spirits that are serpent-like in their appearance. And there is a story about the patron Buddha of Tibet, Padmasambhava, actually working with the Nagas, who were very, very upset about the way that humans were going around and, disrespecting nature and overdeveloping and whatnot, that they caused a drought. They were like, all right, you humans screwed with stuff. We're not going to let it rain anymore. And Padmasambhava actually, called up the Nagas, and they were like, hey, if we learn to respect the earth again, can you give us some rain so we can make some crops so we can eat? And the Nagas were like, okay, yeah, that's fine. So one of the other things is, snakes are out in nature, right? Learning to respect nature. I urge you to start building a practice of going out in nature to be spiritual. Sit in nature and meditate. Find places that are where snakes would live. Go down by the water. Go out in the woods. Start sitting and working with and communing with the spirits of nature that are there, because spirits and magical workings and stuff, we might think that it's all the beings up there, and I got to do rituals in next to my altar and whatnot, and I got to astral travel and project and blah 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 to get in communion with them. But one of the biggest things about native indigenous wisdom and shamanic paths and stuff like that is the spirits are everywhere, and they're right out there in nature, and we can connect with them. So use the snake as an idea of, I can go out there and I can connect with those spirits, and I can respect nature. Go out into nature, play some music there for them, go and pick up some trash, be respectful to the nature around you, no littering, see what you can do about taking care of the environment around you, even if it means, you see a piece of trash when you're walking into the grocery store and a plastic bag tumbles across across the parking lot. Go and pick that up. Let's be friends with the nature spirits by being stewards and friends of nature itself by helping to clean up. And then sit and meditate and listen for them. Make a call out to them. Connect with those spirits, because self-improvement and whatnot, and especially if you're here and things like that, that there's more than just the physical world out there, right? And growth is not just physical, it's not just mental, it's spiritual too. So we have to think about, how is your spirit going to grow this year? What kinds of spiritual and emotional things are you going to shed? What's new? What's under that old skin that needs to be sloughed off? So, yeah. All right. So that's a rant over on what you need to think about for 2025, for the year of the wood snake. And as far as what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be sharing a lot more of the connecting with nature, the shamanism, the more transformative, up there, higher level, the great work kind of magic and spiritual stuff, as as well as a lot of spiritual philosophy and different things to get you to think bigger picture about your spiritual life, your spiritual practice, and magic in general. So, whether you see this on New Year's Eve, or you see this on New Year's Day, or maybe sometime after that, I hope you have a really awesome year of the snake. Good hunting.